All right, so here we are with the loops composition in Pro Tools. So you'll be creating a song using only loops that I provide. And these are all popular music loops. You want to download these loops in from Course Connect and then have them in a folder ready to go on your computer. You can take a listen to probably know some of these. And then we'll you'll need to create a blank session and call it something like sample loops composition. And I already created one, so I'm going to just open it up and you'll have just a blank session in Pro Tools. And then you can just start setting up your tracks. You'll need to have at least you'll need to use at least 8 samples, so you'll probably want to have around 8 tracks. So you can just go to track, create, set stereo, audio, keep samples, and create. And I'm just going to set up 2 tracks for you here. And then you can just drag and drop what you want to use. So I suggest you kind of listen for samples. You can listen for percussion, listen for ones maybe that have more other things going on. There's some jazz ones, Herbie Hancock. Obviously the Herbie Hancock has more of a bass line. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this Bob James one into the top. Here we go. And sounds like this. So remember the space bar is starts and stops in Pro Tools. So I've got this here so you can see my shortcuts that I'm using. And let's go ahead and drag also Lil Wayne. I'm gonna just start with those 2 just to show you some things. So I've got those in there, 2 tracks. And there's a couple of different tools I want to show you. So there's some different editing modes. I'm going to show you that's in the upper left. Shuffle is if you want to drag things and have them be snapped together. So you saw I dragged the Little Wayne. You can drag it back and forth. Let's say I wanted to snap it right up against so it goes right next to the next one. Or if I Control C or Command C, Command V, copy and paste, it will snap against. So that's shuffle. Likewise, if I change the mode, I'm going to go ahead and undo these. Go back to where we were. If I do slip allows you to see how I can slip it on top of each other. You can also, if you select the one from underneath, you can slip and drag that one over the other. So you can kind of infinitely drag things bleeding into one another. That's the slip mode. Grid, we won't really use spot. Spot allows you to put things exactly like if I click in here, you can set it at an exact timing. Grid follows, you see the lines on the grid, the horizontal lines. These are coordinate to a second, so you can work with grid timing. If you have really formulaic stuff, you can work in the grid. So that can be useful if you want to really snap stuff exactly time-wise. So I'm just going to leave it in shuffle for right now. We also have 3 different editing tools. I think I showed these last round, but this is the trim tool. Allows you to drag file back and forth. Oops, I want to make sure it's on standard. This is the selector tool. You can select a portion, delete it, so forth if you want. And the grabber, which allows you to grab the whole chunk. If you highlight this bracket, you can flow between the 2 kinds. So if you select within the track, you can select it. If I select up here in the time, that's where I can start there. Or if you go to the end, it'll do the selector. So or the trim. Sorry, this is the trim tool. So that's really nice. All right, so as you build this out, you can think of what kind of concept you want. Pick some sort of bass palette that you want, pick the percussion you want, maybe pick there's a lot of vocal oriented samples like the Lil Wayne that I'm using. You'll want to duplicate these, right? That's the whole idea of a loops assignment. There's a couple different ways you can loop. You can simply go, let's say if I want to loop this percussion track, you can right click on the track and go down to loop, and you could seriously set this up. You could do 12 loops, and that could be the sort of the canvas for your whole song. That gets me up to almost my 2-minute mark. So that's one way to do it. You can also, if you want to work more piece by piece, you can go up to the trim tool and you can actually manually loop. It'll repeat. So you just kind of hold the arrow key down and go down and select loop. You can drag how much you want to repeat, and it'll just simply repeat the track from where you left off. So you can keep going however many, you don't even have to do a full round of the loop. You'll notice that there's a gray line here. This shows you where the loop has happened, where the repeat of the chunk has happened. So that's kind of nice if you want to later on coordinate where things come in and come out. You can see where it has been looped, basically. All right, so I'm going to undo that. All right, so another requirement of this is that you got to change speed and you got to have audio effects, and you have to do this at least 4 times in the assignment. So changing the speed, the kind of quick and dirty way you can do it is also with the trim tool. You'll notice, let's just solo this track. Right? A very different speed than the Lil Wayne. So Lil Wayne is slower. So let's say, slip. I want to make the Bob James a little faster. So we're going to make the Bob James track shorter overall. So I'm going to just kind of line it up. We're just going to quick and dirty way. So go up to the trim tool and we're going to go down to what's called TCE, time compression. So just select that. And this will simply change the speed of whatever track you're dragging. So you can see it rendered it. Let's check it out now and see how they kind of coordinate with each other. Gotta turn my tools back on, go here. Oops, and unsolo. Okay. All right, great. And I think I just did this wrong. I made my top track faster and I wanted to make it slower. So I goofed there. So we'll just go ahead, TCE. I'm going to make it longer. We'll make it shorter. I mean slower. Longer, we'll make it slower. There we go. So now the Bob James is a little more funky, like the Lil Wayne. So you can play with that and coordinate how you want your speeds to change. All right, so let's talk about audio effects in the mixer. So to get to your mixer, it's Command plus. So Command plus opens up the mix view. If you want to exit, Command plus again. Or you can go up to Window and you'll see the one that's check marked, either Mix or Edit. So this is our Edit window and this is our Mix window, or the mixer. And you can see we've got our 2 channels. I have my audio 1 and audio 2. You can rename these if you'd like to make it easier. Like you could rename this Bob James and you could name this Lil Wayne, so you can keep track as you add more tracks in the mixer. It gets more complex. So we're gonna add some effects. There's lots of different fancy things now in Pro Tools you can do, but we're just going to put some of the factory presets in. So we're going to go down to, you just click in these inserts. So this is where you can insert effects. Go to Recall Inserts, Avid, and then there's all kinds of different things we can add. Let's do something kind of drastic. Let's go to Delay and do something like Metal Slap. As you can see, added Metal Slap. We'll do Command plus, takes us back to the mix. And we added that to audio 1. So let's just solo this and see what that sounds like. Yeah, so we added kind of a crazy sort of thing going on there. Let's add something else. Let's add also, I don't know, something like a channel strip. Let's do bass amp. This is another effect. We'll do Command plus, takes us back. And yeah. All right, so we added, so now it's a very different sample actually. It sounds very trippy. Now let's see how it sounds with the Lil Wayne. All right, so we got some nice counterpoint going on there. All right, so that should get you started with how you want to get the file set up, get some of your tracks in, get some of your looping set up, the speed, some of the effects. If you want to cut and paste a little more with a zoomed in, the zoom in Pro Tools is Command and bracket. So the right bracket makes it zoomed in, and Command, the left bracket, zooms it out. You can see it changes the waveform. This is a very handy shortcut. All right, so I think that's all for now, and go ahead and start your assignment, and I'll look forward to your questions.